Hey Pat, you're kind of wondering probably why, that I've stayed onto this trail for so long. And even though it's unbelievable right at this moment, it's something that I was shown personally, and I have a feel like I'm on my obligation to make sure to see this thing through, to make darn sure that everybody knows of this before it's over with, or at least the Christians. It's important that they do pass because this is what corrects all Bible prophecy. I know it sounds totally wild at this moment, but listen to this real carefully, okay? Because whenever you switch them chapters, 10 and 11, like what I've been telling you about uh, this time, and I've still got a lot more ways to show you how to prove it has to be done, but this is the reason why that is so important that we apply this switch chapters to today's prophecies, because it's the only way that it'll work past. Chapters 10 and 11 has got to be switched around in order for anybody to ever be able to understand that the prophecies. You'd think that somebody would know this by now, but nobody's really ever took it to heart. And if you don't take it to heart, and you don't follow it out, then it kind of, like everything else, like seeds, it kind of gets cast on the wayside, and they never do land on any good fertile ground. But anyway, this here's the list of things that I wanted to show you past what it changes and why it's so blamed important to understand that them chapters been switched. Okay. This is the conclusion of the switch, chapters 10 and 11. Okay, number one, the vision in Daniel chapter 8, it concludes that it's all of chapter 11. That's important because then you can compare the two, look at one, look at the other, and vice versa, and you can make a good comparison. Very few people know this part right here, and that probably wipes out about 50% of the prophets right there. Number two is it confirms that that chapter 10 is an end times vision. This is so important because it's the only way that you can figure out Revelations. Look on my video on my website about the subject, about how Daniel lines up with Daniel chapter 10 lines up with Revelations. You'll see the full Monty of that one. Confirms the story. That was the story that I told you yesterday, about in chapter 8, how Gabriel was told to make sure that, or Jesus, the voice between the banks in verse 16, was told to make sure that Gabriel understood the vision. But clearly, by the end of the chapter, on the very last line, it shows that none understood it, and that would have to be included Daniel himself. Anyway, you know the story as I told it to you last night. Whenever you get to 9:23, whenever Gabriel is asking Daniel, or telling Daniel about the matter and the vision, the matter was all about Jesus Christ, and it was spoken of right there in the last part of chapter 9. But it didn't say anything about the vision. The vision was something that was still heavy on Gabriel's mind because Daniel never did understand the whole Monty. So that's why the chapter 11 has to be connected to chapter 9 back how it originally was. And then you'll see how it's talking about the matter and the vision, how Gabriel came for the purpose of doing that. So why would he leave without doing it first? So therefore, chapter 11 has to be connected to chapter 9, just like I was mentioning. Whenever you do this, it takes it leaves chapter 10 hanging in midair. Okay, because it's the only one left. Well, the first verse in chapter 10 says, and at that time. So it's showing the continuation of something. Seeing that chapter 10 is the only one there available, it has to be talking about that. And that would explain Daniel's people, the children of Daniel's people in the latter time is Israel, according to 9:20, 9:7. That means all 12 tribes, according to 9:7. That is Daniel's people. So the one that is talking about in chapter 10 wasn't just the tribe of Judah and Benjamin that got captured by the Babylonians back in the time. That wasn't what this here was issuing. It was talking about all of the children of Israel. And that means all of the 10 tribes wherever they went on the earth, okay? That's very important. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. Number 4, it explains why, oops, this should have been Gabriel right here. Why Gabriel was flying swiftly in 9:21. It don't say why he was right there. But if you know the story and you know why the Prince of Persia was able to restrain Gabriel for 21 days and keep him from getting the message to Daniel, what he had to tell him, then it shows that the Prince of Persia had the ability to do this. So back in 9:21, it says whenever he was being caused to fly swiftly, I believe it's because the Prince of Persia was after him. This being the first time Gabriel was able to escape him somehow. Anyway, see, the whole reason why the Prince of Persia was trying to detain Daniel in chapter 10 was to keep Daniel from understanding his identity and where he's going to be coming from. See, that's the whole idea about it. That's why he was trying to stop Gabriel from getting to Daniel this time in chapter 9, is because he knew that he was fixing to spill the beans, because that's what he actually did in chapter 11, verses 36 through 40. And he was the 4th king in verse 2 of chapter 11. So the first 3 is Persians, and then the 4th, it doesn't say what the 4th was. The 4th is Iranian because he's still future. Anyway, we're going on. Number 5, it proves that chapter 7 is referring to the very same thing as all these other chapters was. It's kind of like a compact version of it, of all these other chapters put together. And I proved this with and that's the only way you can understand that, is understanding the rest of it. Then you have to look back at chapter 7, because it was written in the Aramaic, whereas the chapter 8 through 12 was written in Hebrew, right? Okay, the first 7 chapters, if they was in Aramaic, this was written as an observation by somebody else, not where Daniel wasn't actually the prophet. So everything that was being mentioned was mentioned over. This was something that Daniel was telling somebody, and they was writing it down. This, on the other hand, 8 through 12 is what Daniel actually wrote himself. Whenever you put whenever you put chapter 9 back to chapter 11 back to 9, and 12 back to 10, then you have 3 chapters that was written in the original Hebrew language, which was Daniel's own language. And now they're all got a date, plus they're all showed to be authored by Daniel, and it's these 3 books makes up a little book. And that's what Revelations chapter 10 was talking about whenever Michael was telling John to eat that little book, because John had to know about this switch chapters, and he would have to know the truth about Daniel in order to be able to understand those things that was given to him in the Revelations. Why? It's because chapter 10 is the beginning to all the chapters, to everything. It tells about the whole shebang. I've already explained that one. So anyway, last but not least, it shows the story of Jesus, Gabriel, and Michael. And once you see the story, and I'll show it to you later on. I ain't made it yet. But it shows a definite link. I mean, there's no escaping it. It shows a link between all these chapters that I've told you about. and it shows why they've all got to be just one continuous story. But that's going to be in the next one. Anyway, I hope this here has been a good one for you, past. Study this out, and you'll find out that all these things are very much true. Bye now.